Good morning, you one. So, today we are going to be learning all about sustainability and the environment and recycling at our school, at Balgowlah Heights, and the things that we can do to help our environment. So far this week, we've learned about the three R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. And we've also learned about Kimbrickie Tip and the Waste Management Centre and the way that they are using their great resources to help us recycle in our local communities. So, we're going to dive into today, and after this presentation, I'm going to ask you to write a letter to a friend at a different school, or maybe you could write it to a grandparent about all the different ways that Balgowlah Heights students are helping the environment. So make sure that you're listening to this presentation for some things that you might like to include in your letter, and that will be your writing for today. So let's start off with, why do we recycle? I'm just going to move my face up there. So why do we recycle? Almost everything we do in our lives creates waste, and waste is described as something we no longer want or need. So many of the things we use come to us wrapped in some kind of packaging. Think of the toast and jam you ate for breakfast, the tinned fish you ate for lunch, the shoes you're wearing, the computer you're using, the shampoo you washed your hair with. All these things come in packaging. So what do we recycle? This packaging is often made from plastic, glass, cardboard, or metal, and these things can take a long time to break down in nature. And if left in nature, they can create waste and harm our environment. So getting the raw materials uses more energy than recycling does. Think of the case of cans, aluminium foil cans. Making a can from recycled materials rather than raw materials saves 95% of the energy that was used when making the can from scratch. So what about paper? We can always grow more trees to make more paper, but the problem with that is growing more trees requires more water and more energy. And if the trees are grown just for paper, this means less water and energy for the natural environment. So recycling reduces the amount of waste going to landfill. The less waste in landfill and is the less waste in our environment is better for everyone. So in the video of Kimbrickie, you saw them moving the bottles, moving the paper, moving the mattresses, sorting all of those items out so that they can be recycled, and that's less items going into the landfill. So many more raw materials are required to make any of the goods that we use come from resources that are finite, meaning that once those resources run out, we don't have any ability to get them back. So recycling means that we can use items over and over and over again without exhausting those finite resources. So these are some things that we can put into the recycling bin, our paper bin. So we can put in newspaper, used paper, food boxes, packing boxes, pizza boxes, which can be dirty, but we need to take out the food, tissue boxes, envelopes, and egg cartons, and old notebooks. So that's a lot of paper recycling. At our school, we can see that we have all of these different bins to help us recycle. So that paper recycling goes in the bin with the blue lid. And you can even put your lunch order bag straight in the blue bin, and you do not have to remove the label. So now let's think about plastic. Drink bottles, milk bottles, shampoo bottles, laundry liquid bottles, food containers like yogurt, butter and ice cream containers, takeaway containers and squeezy bottles with the hand pump all count as our plastic recycling. Glass, all glass jars and bottles are good for recycling, including medicine bottles. And you could even maybe find some ways to reuse those bottles as well, if you were feeling creative. There's metal as well, so that's aluminium products such as drink cans, trays, foils, sardine cans, aerosol spray cans, yogurt lids, and even empty deodorant cans. So items made from plastic, glass, or metal, they go in our bin with the yellow lid here. Just like at home, you should have a recycling bin with a blue lid and a yellow lid. Then, of course, at school, we have our soft plastics, and this is a really important bin to remember and sometimes the hardest one to sort out. So usually we use the scrunch test. Any plastic that can scrunch up into your hand would count as a soft plastic. So think about chips, noodles, rice crackers, every convenience food you can think of that would come wrapped in plastic. So we know that these soft plastics are not collected by council. That's why we have our own bin, and then we can take it to Woolworths or Coles, and then they're taken to a collection centre from there to be recycled. And as you can see in this photo, all of our soft plastics go into our bin with the black lid. We do not put in food or hard plastics in this bin. And that's really important to remember. What not to do. We never put recyclables in plastic bags or inside each other. We just place the recycling straight into the recycling bin. So these items we cannot put in the recycling bin, which might surprise you. Paper towel, we need to put this into the compost bin instead, and we'll be talking more about composting in tomorrow's lesson. Takeaway cups, tissues and napkins, receipts, because these have the plastic coating on them, and paddle pop sticks. But again, there are lots of ways that we can reuse these items for craft activities. So everything we need to be thinking about ways we can use those 3Rs to make a difference. Like in this picture in Area A, did you know that our furniture on the Western campus was actually made by using these recyclable materials? So some other things that we need to think about when we are reduce, reusing and recycling, we cannot recycle these drinking glasses, broken glass, decorative glass, thick glass in bowls or measuring jugs, cooking dishes, ceramics, light bulbs, or broken mirrors. We need to find different ways to repurpose these. Or take them directly to the tip ourselves. By putting your rubbish in the right bin, you can help stop large amounts of waste going to landfill. Plastic waste is a huge problem globally, everywhere, not just in Australia. Seabirds living on Lord Howe Island are dying because their parents have been scouring the sea in search of fish and squid, and instead they return to feed their babies clothes pegs, bottle tops, and Lego pieces. So it is so important that we all play our part in recycling to protect our animals and to protect our environment. So another thing you might like to mention in our letter is the way that we pack our lunches at school, thinking about Waste-Free Wednesday. When you pack your lunch for school, we can try and avoid bringing your food in single-use plastics. So recycling helps stop the new production of plastics by not using it in the first place is even better. So hopefully you've now learnt about some of the different ways that we are recycling at Balgowlah Heights. So your task now is to get a pen and paper. I want you to imagine that you're writing a letter to one of your friends at a different school and telling them all about the different ways that we recycle at Balgowlah Heights. Think about what you do in your classroom. Think about Waste-Free Wednesday, how we use our bins. Is there even something you might do like using both sides of the paper to write on? I know we do that in our classrooms. So thinking about all those different ways, writing a letter, and then taking a photo and uploading your work to Seesaw. Thanks, year one.